Hello there everyone, and welcome to Lydia's Crafty Corner here at Alta New. I am Lydia and I will be showing you how to create these cards today. I have 3 in the video and the other one I'll just describe at the end. So we'll be doing some layered ink blending on these cards with our own DIY stencils. I'm firstly going to show you how to create the stencil and then we'll get into the ink blending. So I have a piece of acetate here. It's just a thin piece of acetate. It doesn't need to be anything fancy, and I'm going to be using the half-tone hearts nesting dies to create my stencils. So I'm going to be using 5 of these, although I have only used 4 of the stencils on my card. I can still reuse this stencil sheet that we're creating now over and over again. You could create it out of a piece of cardstock if you wanted to, but I do find with acetate it will last longer. So these are the ones that I didn't use from the die set. Didn't use the 2 smallest and the largest one. So I've placed these onto my piece of acetate, leaving quite a large gap between each of the shapes, as I didn't want to have, ink through one by mistake, although I do make a mistake and I will show you how to cover that up later on. So once we've created our stencil, we have the innies and the outies. I will be using both of these on the cards today. So the first card I'm going to be using the innie. So this is the one where it's the negative. We're going to go through the die cut heart and then create our look that way. So I'm going to be using all of these 4 colours in all of the cards today, just to show you how you can mix and match it up even though you are using the same colours. So this is the pink diamond and I'm using the largest of the heart that I die cut. So this is the second largest of the nesting dies. And I'm just doing a light blending. I'm starting on my acetate stencil and then working my way in, but I'm doing it very lightly and I'm not covering the whole of the heart, as I kind of want more of a softer look for this one. So I'm going to remove the stencil after I've added enough blending, and then I'm going to take the heart further down on my scale of die cut hearts, and I'm just going to tape this into place. You don't really have to tape it into place if you don't want to. You can hold it into place, but I do find a little bit of tape like this works wonders. So this is the Pinkalicious. I'm using little finger blenders. You can use larger blenders if you want to. They will give a softer look, I feel. And also they won't take as much time, as these little finger blenders are a little bit fiddly, so it did take me a little bit longer to do my blending, but I do feel that I have a bit more control with these, so there's pros and cons to everything, I guess. So then once I've done my Pinkalicious, I'm then going to move to the heart, which is further down my scale. And I'm going to pop this into position and then again tape it down. I should have taped it down as well on the left hand side, because this is where I make my mistake, but I will show you how I've covered it up as well. So I don't really like chucking cards away, but if you can cover it, we will cover it. So this is the Rubelite, and then I'm going to move into the Razzleberry. You can see on the side where I've made the mistake, but we will cover that up later, so no need to worry about it too much, because there's always something that you can pop on to cover any little finger marks or anything like that. So I'm just going to tape this one into place. I'm doing it on the bottom because I didn't want to make a mistake down the bottom as well. One mistake is enough to cover up. So this is the Razzleberry, and even though it looks really dark while I'm putting it on here, it does in fact get really light. That is the property of a dye ink. It will get lighter when it dries. So we're just going to take that off, and there is all the stenciling done. But I'm now going to cover this edge that I've made a mistake with. So I'm just going to take a bit of glitter washi tape. I'm popping this down on my gridded cutting mat so I can cut a thinner strip, because I don't need the full thickness. My mistake wasn't that bad, it was only a small mistake, so I'm just going to cut a tiny bit there, and then I'm going to add this small slither to the side of the card. And you've also got another piece of washi tape there that you can add to another project as well. So once I've popped it into position, I've turned the card around and then just got rid of the edges with some scissors. For the sentiment on this one, I've used the Script Words dies, and this is the love. I've just got a single die cut from white cardstock, and I'm just going to pop it down with some glossy accents. So any wet glue that you have, or even tape pens if you wanted to use those, would work really well with this. So for the second card, I am going to use the outies. So these are the ones that we've cut from the inside of the stencil. I'm just going to add a little bit of repositionable spray adhesive on the back of these, and then these are going to be good to go. So because they are smaller, I just thought a little bit of a repositionable adhesive on the back would be quite handy. Again, I'm going to use the same colour as before. So this is the pink diamond, and I'm adding a little bit less blending with this one as I did the first card, so it's a softer look. But because we're using the darker ink on the outside, it still gives it doesn't make it too dark. But you can do it the other way around. It's just whichever way you want to go. So once I've used the first one, I've then taken it off, and then I've added the second heart over it, so I can then blend onto that. You can leave the hearts in position if you wanted to, but I do feel that it would get too thick adding all 4 stencils in at once, so maybe you wouldn't get a cleaner edge as I am here. So this is the Rubellite, sorry, and now I'm moving into the Razzleberry. So again, I've removed the first stencil down, and then I've just popped on the other one before doing a spot of blending around the outside of the heart. And I think this is a really, really soft look as well. You could do this with many different colours, maybe try a rainbow effect. I'm hoping to try a rainbow effect soon. So this sentiment from Sending Sunshine and Smiles is from Totally Tropical stamp set. So I've just popped that one in there. I've just put it onto some black cardstock with some white embossing powder. So this next card, I'm using the outies again, or the innies again, sorry. And this time I'm going to do a bit more blending. The first card that I did was like super soft blending, but this time I've really gone for gold, and I've popped a lot of blending down. The reason that I didn't do that middle bit was because I knew I was going to cover it up, so I wasn't too worried about that. This is the Pinkalicious, and again, as you can see, I am really putting a lot of ink down on these, so it's more of a solid ink blending rather than the ombre ink blending that we've had on the other cards. Then I'm going to add the third stencil down. As you can see, I'm really making sure I'm not making a mistake on that left side edge again, or right side edge, sorry. And this is the Rubellite. And this time, instead of putting the hearts dead center with each other, I've tried to move them over to the left a little bit to give a bit of a different look. So maybe you could play around with this a little bit more. And this is the Razzleberry ink. So that purple will die down and will create a more of a pinker looking card as it dries. Again, I'm using the same sentiment as I've used for the second card, and I'm just popping that into place with some foam tape. So these are the cards we've created today. This one is using the inside of the hearts and just doing a really soft ombre blending on this one. We're using all the same inks. This is where I've covered the mistake, so a little bit of washi down the side. This one is when we've used the full circles, so the ones that we've removed from the inside of the stencil with a little bit of removable adhesive inside, and then gone from the lightest colour to the darkest colour. So again, you could start with the darkest colour and go to the lightest colour. It would give you a softer effect. This is the one we've just created. So this one has got more of a solid ink blending, I would say. And we've gone from the lightest to the darkest. I don't think it would work this way from the darkest to the lightest. Again, I've done the same as I've done on the third card, but this time I've gone to the side just to give a different layout to the card and maybe a different look that way. So I really hope you've enjoyed this technique, and I really do hope that you give making your own stencils a try, and we would really love to see what you do with it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, I would really love it if you do subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss out on any of our other videos. We have another video from last week, the other Crafty Corner, and I'll see you again soon next week. Goodbye!